So I don't know how long this has been a thing, right? But last week I discovered something that Lynx are doing that is weird to me, right? Because I have always been a firm believer, right, that your skin is your skin, and do you know what? Like your skin down there, yeah, there's probably a reason that you shouldn't be spraying deodorant directly on your ball bag, but at the same time, never really seen an issue with it, right? But Lynx have come out with what I'm only assuming is a new product, right? And it is lower body deodorant. So this is deodorant specifically for below the belt, okay? So why does that matter, right? From a marketing perspective, it is absolute fucking genius, okay? So everybody before the invention of lower body deodorant has just been spraying normal deodorant down the pants, right? It's a thing, right? People do it. I do it. I don't know about I don't know about anyone else, but it's a thing. It's not a problem. It has never really been a problem. I've never noticed it as a problem. Maybe there's people out there, and there is like a focus group of people who get rashes and problems and whatever. I'm not sure, but for the majority of us, it's going to be fine. Okay, but not only have they launched this lower body deodorant with its own branding, with its own kind of tactics, they're plugging the same kind of messaging. So like it's got no alcohol or aluminium in it, 72-hour protection, all these things that normal deodorant does, right? But when you start the thing with the marketing is, right, when you start talking about things that people aren't already specifically thinking, like anybody who has used normal deodorant and sprayed it down there before will be like, all right, yeah, that's what it is. Some people will have used it before and gone, I don't really like the look of that, I'm not going to bother with that. So when they launched the brand new product, it's like, oh, cool. So there is a thing, there is a solution to this problem that I am experiencing. But for most people, there isn't a problem, right? But what Lynx are doing is they're drawing your attention to something. So you're just doing it normally thinking that body spray is body spray, it's for my body. What they're actually saying now is, no, this one isn't for that, but this one is for that, right? And the main thing to take note of with this is that Lynx aren't just offering this new deodorant out with a different label on, right? Lynx are charging nearly 3 times as much for the lower body deodorant. So what they have done essentially is they have taken what we are our current behaviours, and they have analysed our current behaviours and gone, do you know what? Is there an angle in this? And like, when you're looking for pain points, right? One of the biggest pain points you will ever find, right, is people's genitals. Okay, so for one reason or another, people like to look after their genitals, so they don't like to just spray random fucking chemicals down there. So Lynx have taken this and gone, oh, well, what if we create something specifically for that, right? What if we adapt our current messaging and we adapt our current product? And I'm not saying that this low body deodorant, I haven't looked at the back of the can and gone for the ingredients and gone, right, okay, that's exactly the same thing. I don't know, I don't care, because for me, the normal stuff is fine, right? But I know that there's people out there who will look at that and go, oh shit. And this is the customer journey, right? The customer journey starts with awareness. So are they aware that there's a problem? No, not aware whatsoever. As far as the majorities are concerned, right, there's no issue with spraying deodorant down there. But the awareness of the problem is then, all right, so why shouldn't I be spraying deodorant down there? What is it about deodorant that isn't meant to go on my ball bag, right? What is the problem? So the deodorant then, it all becomes, then they're aware of a problem, right? So when they're aware of a problem, it sparks interest, right? Because the interest is already, there's awareness of a problem. If I said to you, it's deodorant, but it's specifically for your feet, right? I'm sure that exists already, right? But if they said it's specifically for your feet, most people would be like, sound. But if you're going to charge me 3 times as much, I'll just use the normal stuff, right? Because people aren't as bothered about the feet as they are the balls. So when you get that intimate pain point and you specifically exploit it, which is essentially what's happening, you have interest from people, right? So the awareness, oh, right, so I'm not supposed to use this on my balls, so I have a problem. Interest is, right, so what's the problem? Why am I not allowed to use this on my balls? Oh, well, this one's alcohol-free, this one's 72-hour protection, this one's whatever the other selling point is, right? But what they're doing essentially is they're saying, right, so no, stop what you're doing. You're doing it wrong. You have a problem, right? And this is the consequence of your problem, right? And they don't have to go into too much detail because everybody knows that you want to look after that, right? So it's not like they really need to sell this too much either. I mean, and this isn't really something, this is something you can apply to online coaching, but it's not necessarily specifically, because you're not going to talk about people's balls. I mean, the only thing is when you start talking about extra supplements and stuff, and you know, the balls come into the question, but that's generally a risk that people like to take, yeah? So you've got the awareness and you've got the interest, and then you've got the desire, right? The desire for people to make a change. And that is where the key is, because with this being so intimate, the desire is there, and then the action comes after. Every single customer who has ever bought anything, product, service, whatever, right? They've always followed this specific 4-step journey. Awareness of a problem, interest in a solution, a desire to get hold of that solution, and then the action of actually doing it, right? And the awareness perspective is where your top line and cold marketing will be. Hello, you have a problem. This is the problem. This is how you solve it. Follow me for more, or whatever you're going to do, right? The interest bit is your followers. They're the people who are there, right? They're the people who are interested in what you got to say and they want to know more, right? Specifically to make sales online, right, you need to then nail the next bit, right, which is the going from the interest to desire and then the desire to action, right? Because the interest to desire is people who are following you, people who are warm traffic, they want to know more about what you do, right? How do we get them to desire more information, more action, book a call, make an inquiry, grab a lead magnet, whatever it is? How do we get them to that point? Well, we get the interest built up, and then we offer them easy, non-friction ways. We remove friction, we offer easy steps to get them down and further and closer to a sale, right? Which is the action step. To get people from the desire, so when they have shown interest, whether they're on your email list now because they want to know even more, because they're that, you know, it's action, but it's non-committal action. It's it's a very low barrier for entry, right? It's a frictionless step to get a free gift or to make an inquiry or to book on a call. To get them from the next point down, right, you have to have, from desire to action, there has to be, so they want what you've got, how do they get it, right? And this is where the objections and the handling and all of the stuff above has to happen, because if you haven't got this all built up and getting tackled first, right, if Lynx aren't making you aware that there's a problem with the current deodorant, if they're not making you desire a solution by being that terrified of getting a rash on your balls, right, then you are not going to pay 3 times as much for deodorant. But if the problem is there, if you're aware of the problem, then great. If you walk into the shop and you see Lynx normal deodorant and lower body deodorant, and there are no selling points, there is no reason to choose, right, then you're going to choose the cheaper option, more than likely, unless you've got shitloads of money, right? But the same goes for your coaching, right? You could be an absolute bog standard beige coach, right? I help busy professionals get in shape, right? Side note on that, right? Everybody's busy and everybody's got a job. That's not a niche. That is not by any means refining your marketing, okay? I help busy professionals get in shape, right? But what problem are you specifically solving for these busy professionals, right? What are these busy professionals experiencing? Because as a busy professional, that is somebody who goes to work, right? That's the world, okay? So I go to work, I have a job, help me fix my weight loss problem, right? It's not exciting, right? There's no interest there. You've not made them aware that there's an actual problem. They just have an interest at some point in solving that problem. But why? If it's not a problem, why fix it, you know? And that is the key. The key is to use this strategy of finding problems that people don't know they have and making them aware of the problem. Because that is why Lynx will sell this deodorant, because they are making people aware of a problem and then they're offering a solution. If you don't make people aware of a specific problem, if you see the problem differently to them, you see the problem as you are fat, you need to lose weight, right? But they see the problem as I want to go on the beach and take the top off with my missus without thinking that she's looking at other blokes. 2 completely different problems, right? Because one's an actual problem that exists in someone's head, and one is just something that you have created loosely to try and sell you shit, right? So find the problem, offer the solution. Don't just pretend there's a problem, because if there isn't actually a problem, nobody's looking for your solution.